The AFC West should be terrified, not because the Chiefs are angry, not because the Raiders are retooling, but because the Denver Broncos are about to dominate.
Eagles-wise, the offensive line is great. The defense keeps stacking talent. Barron was an awesome pick in the first round. RJ Harvey was a reach for UCF, but again, Sean Payton knows what to do with running backs. He loves contact. He has speed. So I'm looking at this Denver team and I'm saying, why can't this team compete right now? Now,
Bo Nix was not your typical rookie quarterback in 2024. He was a cool, calm, and composed assassin, methodically picking apart defenses and gashing them with his legs.
Elusive once he gets into the open field, and here he has a big gainer. It's one of the biggest ones of the day for this Denver Broncos.
He is the face of the franchise that Broncos fans have been dreaming of ever since Peyton Manning rode off into the sunset, and he is now primed and ready to take these guys back to the promised land.
I expect a lot more success for Bo Nix and for this Denver Broncos offense. The reason why isn't just because he's more experienced, because they've added pieces.
This is what they aren't telling you about Bo Nix. Long before Bo Nix was torching NFL secondaries, he was growing up as just another kid in Alabama, with dreams of making it to the big leagues. His first taste of footballing action came at Pinson Valley High School, where he was coached by his father, Patrick Nix. His father had been a talented quarterback back in his day, proudly representing the orange and blue of Auburn University, and he took it upon himself to set his son up for a similar journey. Things got off to a great start. Over 12,000 total yards and 161 total touchdowns rewrote the school record books and earned Nix Alabama's Mr. Football Award. This, in turn, made him the top dual-threat quarterback in his class, which meant the college offers came in thick and fast. Of course, there was only one place Bo was going to go. He committed to Auburn, following in the footsteps of his father to keep the family tradition going. Bo Nix was ready and raring to go upon arriving at campus in 2019. He had all the hype, but was more than willing to prove he was worth it, and he did just that. The starting job was assigned to him ahead of the 2019 season opener, making Nix the first true freshman to start for the program since 1946. Yep, that's over 7 decades. This was no ordinary true freshman QB. It took just one game for that decision to be validated, with Nix easing into SEC play brilliantly. His Auburn Tigers overcame a good Oregon side, led by Justin Herbert, by 27 points to 21, needing a 26-yard touchdown from Nix with 9 seconds left on the clock to get the job done. 5 wins contributed to the good run of form to open the season, and whilst 3 losses did remove any hopes of playoff action, a fairy tale victory in the Iron Bowl in the regular season finale was about as much that Bo Nix and Auburn fans could ask for. The stunning 48-45 victory was the stuff of dreams for Nix, who collected 217 total yards and 2 total touchdowns while not contributing a turnover. As I said, this was not your typical true freshman quarterback. He was poised, decisive, and already showed signs of having the all-important clutch gene. That 2019 campaign yielded a 9-4 record, 2,542 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, to go along with 313 yards on the ground. His reward was the SEC Freshman of the Year. By all accounts, the future was incredibly bright for the Auburn Tigers and their exciting young quarterback. Unfortunately, things didn't quite continue on that trajectory. Bo Nix didn't find the improvements he needed to take the next steps forward as a sophomore, instead seeing more mistakes enter his game, a COVID-reduced season, and the departure of head coach Gus Malzahn. Nix did start to see improvements in his stats in 2021, under new head coach Brian Harsin. His completion percentage ticked over 60% for the first time, producing 2,294 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions in 10 games played. However, that didn't mean things were better. Auburn struggled in their first season under their new head coach, posting a 6-7 record, their first losing season in the last 9. Nix himself admitted to being miserable while playing throughout that 2021 season, and the fans weren't exactly delighted by their quarterback either.
Sick of it, man. Bo pick 6, fumble the ball, Nix. You got to go, man. You don't go back to Auburn anymore. Go find somewhere else to play. Cause this ain't it, fam. You ain't it. You straight trash, homie. I'm sick of it. You, your family, everybody. Y'all ain't with Auburn anymore. Y'all gotta pick another team. You transfer to something, whatever state, doesn't matter. But you can't be here and you can't represent Auburn anymore because we sick of it year after year after year. You don't improve.
Tigers fans just didn't know what they were going to get anymore. The only thing they did know was that neither Nix nor the team in general had shown any signs of improvement. To cut a long story short, it was time for a fresh start. That fresh start came in Oregon, teaming up with new head coach Dan Lanning, who had adopted a team that went 10-4 in the previous season. There was talent on the roster for sure, but there were plenty of doubters as well, who had little confidence in Nix's ability to fulfill that potential. Nix was at a crossroads. Could he salvage his reputation and get his career back on track in Oregon? Or was he destined for failure like many in Auburn believed he was? The pressure was on, and it only weighed heavier on him after a truly miserable debut. The Georgia Bulldogs came to town for Nix's first game as a Duck, and he completely stunk up the joint. He completed just 56.8% of his passes for 173 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, helping the Bulldogs romp to a 49-3 hammering. It was official. Bo Nix had reached rock bottom, and his critics were quick to take their victory laps. By now, even the most confident quarterback would be feeling shaken. Maybe Bo Nix wasn't that good after all. Thankfully, the former Auburn Tiger isn't built like us mere mortals. He picked himself back up, blocked out the haters, and got right back to work. This is when we got our first look at the traits that make this guy so special. Yes, he has the physical skills needed to play the position, but he also has the perfect mental makeup. Many people would fold in that position, but Bo Nix? Not likely. Just 1 week after that disastrous debut, Nix took to the field again, dishing out 277 yards and 5 touchdowns against the Eastern Washington Eagles. 1 week after that, BYU were the visitors, and Bo Nix proved his breakout game was no fluke. He completed 72% of his passes for 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in a 41-20 win. Whilst his newfound success as a passer was great to see, it was the 35 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground that got fans even more excited. Nix was establishing himself as a legitimate dual-threat quarterback, and the fun was only just getting started. An 8-game win streak saw Nix deliver standout performances each and every week. 428 yards and 3 touchdowns against Washington State, 141 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground against Stanford, 283 yards and 5 passing touchdowns against UCLA, the list goes on. Nobody was safe from this new look Nix, who finished the season with 3,593 yards, 29 touchdowns and 7 interceptions to go along with 510 yards and 14 touchdowns on the ground. This was aided by a 72% completion rate, over 10% better than his previous career best. The numbers were good to look at, but what was even more impressive was Nix's ability to pull himself out of a hole and deliver. He didn't let his failures define him, he didn't let the critics get him down, and he certainly didn't give up on his dreams of becoming an NFL star. Now, thanks to an additional year of eligibility due to COVID, he had one more opportunity to prove to NFL front offices that he could be the new face of their franchise. And boy, did he take it. In his second season as an Oregon Duck, Bo Nix dominated, setting career highs across the board. His 77.4% completion rate was an FBS record. His 4,508 passing yards were almost 1,000 yards more than his previous best, and his 45 passing touchdowns led the nation. Oh, and he also tossed just 3 interceptions and added 228 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground. The evolution was complete. Bo Nix was a star. In leading the Ducks to a 12-2 record, Nix secured the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year award and launched his name up draft boards. Despite the gaudy numbers and superb turnaround, not everyone was sold on Nix as an NFL starter though. Lance Zierlein pegged him as a round 2 prospect, as did PFF, who specified mid to late round 2 as their assessment, citing his arm strength and the basic nature of Oregon's offense as a reason why. The general consensus was that Bo Nix was comfortably behind the top options in the 2024 quarterback class, led by Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and JJ McCarthy, with Nix and Michael Penix Jr. bringing up the rear as perceived second rounders. As we all know, none of these guys came close to going in the second round, with 6 quarterbacks going off the board in the first 12 picks. Bo Nix was indeed the last of these, landing in Denver, much to the frustration of some Broncos fans.
Oh my God! They took Bo Nix at number 12.
Saw it coming. We all saw it coming. I hate to say it, but this has been every mock draft I've seen for the majority.
In the 2024 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Bo Nix.
For the second time in his young career, Bo Nix was heading to a new environment, with plenty of doubters and a hell of a lot to prove. Just like he had in Auburn, he won the starting job immediately. But just like he had in Oregon, it was a disastrous debut, offering his doubters yet another chance at a victory lap. 26 completions from 42 attempts against the Seahawks yielded just 138 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in Week 1, before a 57% completion rate against the Steelers in Week 2 again resulted in 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Out of his depth is probably the best way to sum up that opening effort from Nix. Thankfully, for Denver fans, this was familiar territory for Bo Nix. The parallels between this hardship and what he had faced in his Oregon debut were uncanny, and Nix wasn't going to let this poor start define his rookie season. He got back to work, and with some help from a simpler game plan from head coach Sean Payton, Nix began to right the wrongs of his first 2 weeks. A 69.4% completion rate produced 216 yards through the air in a Week 3 win over Tampa Bay, which also featured 47 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. It was then time for his first passing touchdown in Week 4 in a tight 10-9 win over the New York Jets. His first in-division win arrived in Week 5 over the Raiders before facing off against the LA Chargers in Week 6. Another divisional clash. Against the best scoring defense in the NFL, Nix passed for 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, whilst also picking up 61 yards on the ground. Unfortunately, this came in a loss, but an average depth of target of 11.9, only his second effort above 10 so far, reflected a quarterback who was beginning to see things a bit better. The Bo Nix that we saw in the first 2 weeks of the season was now long gone. After passing for 0 touchdowns and 4 interceptions over those games, he then tossed 29 touchdowns and 8 interceptions over his last 14. He was accurate and decisive, and dispelled any concerns about his arm strength. He also displayed a lethal rushing ability and a very enticing level of creativity, which added another dimension to Sean Payton's scheme. His final stat line read 3,775 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, which anyone associated with the Broncos would have taken if you offered it to them at the beginning of the season. To make matters even better, this was enough to propel Denver to the playoffs for the first time since their Super Bowl win in the 2015 season. The important context here is that nobody was expecting anything like this from the Broncos. The disastrous Russell Wilson trade and eventual cutting had saddled them with boatloads of dead money, handicapping the team as they tried to rebuild. 2024 was the beginning of that process, and Bo Nix helped the team smash expectations out of the water and deliver playoff football at the first time of asking. At one point, it appeared like he might even pinch the Offensive Rookie of the Year award away from Jaden Daniels, ultimately coming third in voting. Now, with slightly less dead money to deal with and a year of experience under his belt, Nix is primed and ready for a breakout season. Evan Ingram has arrived to give him an enticing target at tight end, RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins offer significant upgrades at running back, and Pat Bryant is the perfect perimeter receiver to develop and play alongside Courtland Sutton. Defensively, the team has gone from strength to strength as well. They were the 3rd best scoring unit in 2024, logging the 2nd best pressure rate at 27.7, and their additions this offseason will only make it harder to move the ball on them. First-round rookie Jahdae Barron is a fluid, physical, and instinctive cornerback to add to an already elite secondary, with Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw bringing winning pedigree and a whole lot of physicality over from San Francisco. This is officially a supremely well-rounded team. The 2025 offseason has brought in more weapons for Bo Nix and significantly upgraded an already beastly defense. These guys are absolutely ready to compete in the AFC West, and Bo Nix is absolutely ready to make his case as one of the top signal callers in the NFL. But what do you think? Are you as high on these Broncos ahead of the 2025 season? Let us know in the comments.